Welcome to week 11 of the Bill Nees's Coaches Show. I am your host, Chip Hare, and with us is Coach Bill Nees. And Coach, it's been an interesting few days. Let's just rewind our show last Tuesday. We talked about going into the Troy game. We were going in against the oldest rivalry in the history of the state. Series locked up at 62, 62, and 6. That changed Friday night when the Indians traveled to Troy and took care of business, winning 26-7 to go up one in the series and to bring home another Great American Rival Series trophy. Great win for the Indians. We'll talk about what happened afterwards, but let's talk about the game. Phenomenal game, particularly the second half. The Indians took care of business.
I think so. I think that we went into the game and we knew last year. It all started last year where we kind of really got going about the fact that we've been behind in that series for a long time, and last year it was just key for us to be able to get that evened up. And once we got that evened up, I really thought that the players, especially this year and last year's players, they really kind of some teams don't really get into the whole concept of it. They just want to win the game, and then some other teams. They really focus on, they like that 152, and all the other business. And so once we tied it up, I thought this year was going to be a great motivator for us to be able to take one more step, move ahead. We were able to do that and had some great performances from a lot of our kids. I thought that everybody contributed. I thought we bounced back tremendously from what happened at Sydney. Sydney, that 5 days of practice was probably, and really that whole 7 days leading up to Troy was probably as and I don't want to say we were low, but it was really a tough loss. It was really a tough loss for everybody, and those guys did a tremendous job being able to bounce back.
You talk about losing a tough game to Sydney and then being able to come back and bounce back. You don't know how kids are going to respond. You hope that they're going to respond well, but there's a lot of distractions with the week as itself.
Yeah.
Because it's Troy week, you've got blood drive going on, you got rallies going on that aren't typically normal. The routines were off. We didn't talk about, we were not in school on Friday, so we had to create another routine for them on Friday. So a lot of little distractions that could have really set us aside, but we really came in ready to play. And not to break the game down completely, but we lost some opportunities there early in the game when we were in the red zone. We got up 7-0. We were up 7-0 at half. But boy, the second half, we just kept rolling and we just kept it moving. I
think that's one of the big things that we were able to do is the fact that they had a couple kids playing both ways, and some of their better kids. We've got a couple kids playing both ways too, but I think there are perimeter guys where they're not in there just pounding out. That's really hard for offensive and defensive linemen to go both ways because you're actually engaging every play and doubling it up. Or sometimes on defense, if you're a linebacker or a secondary guy, you might be able to not have anything happen on that particular play. So I really thought that it was one of the big keys that we were able to wear them down a little bit in the second half. And of course, as soon as you get a big play, the momentum is such a key, and I thought that was a key Friday night too.
Great crowd Friday night. There was a lot of good energy. The Indians beat a good Troy team, and it's one more thing I want to say about Troy. You look at Troy's record; they're 2-8, but their culture has changed. Their environment has changed. You can tell they've got that thing turned around, and we beat a very good football team. It wasn't like they just laid down for us.
No, and we knew that too. And as a matter of fact, this past winter when I was talking to Matt and Burbacher about the possibility of taking the job, he actually approached me and we were talking about it before I knew he was even interested. And I laid it out for him. I said, hey, Troy has some good things going on there. The fact they were 2-8 and 1-9, people don't look at the fact that every one of those games were close. They're not getting blown out. The difference between we've been into a couple 6-4 seasons that we could easily have been 9-1. This year might be a pretty good example of something like that. In high school football, there's 2 or 3 plays that make a difference. And I knew, once he told me, he said I'm interested, and he comes over to the success he had, already, brings his dad over with the success they had at Tipp City. That's a formula for a winner right there. And those guys, those kids played hard. They played with a lot of class. And it was just it's a program that I hope is going to be on the rise. I think it is. And we'd like to get back to those days where the Pickwick-Troy game is the focus of everybody for that week. And it's getting close.
Certainly see that coming. So the Indians at about 9 o'clock get the trophy again to bring back to Pickwa. 6-4 after a 26-7 victory. Now we start talking about what we talked about last week, and we've been talking about throughout the show all year, is the playoffs. What is it like for us? What's it going to take for us to get in the playoffs? We said four things. A couple things had to happen. One, we had to win the game.
Yep.
Check. Second thing had to happen was
Trotwood had to beat Van Day. We always forget that.
That was a very important one.
And if that doesn't happen, don't check anything else.
Because Trotwood had struggled in weeks 7 and 8 against Troy and us. They come back and roll over Greenville, and they rolled over Butler and got the win. Check. Third thing, which is the list of schools that had to lose, was St. Mary's had to lose, and they lost 14-7. Check. Then we moved to Goshen, and they got beat by Western Brown. Check. And so the next one was the one that was kind of lean in balance, and there were two other games to be played. Wilmington, they had a game that evening, and Dayton Belmont had a game, but they weren't playing until Saturday. So we thought we might even be lingering and waiting until Saturday to find out what our fate was. And we don't want to say slim to none, but we weren't looking like it was a for sure thing, even with a win.
Exactly.
So we were hoping to sneak into the 8th spot underneath the radar. Well, we find out Wilmington loses as the buses are rolling in downtown for the pep rally. We get the word, and we're able to make the grand announcement that the Piqua Indians are in the 2015 Division III playoffs for the first time since 2007. And what was interesting is we didn't sneak in to the 8th spot. We just walked in and sat down and took spot number 7 as Belmont falls to Dunbar Saturday night. And it will be the Piqua Indians taking on the Tipp City Red Devils, which is, there's a lot of interesting things about that, being that they're going to be in the league. It's an old rival from years and years ago. They're 15 minutes away in a region that's pretty large, from Wapakoneta down to Cincinnati.
A couple playoff games here.
Yeah, they've been playing here, and we've always said, boy, it'd be nice if we could hook up, and Friday night's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be big, and it's a situation where we've got a lot of respect for what they've done in the past. And when I first got to Piqua, we played them, and then obviously we went different directions, and they went down to the CBC, and we went in the GWalk. And then now, you know, it's coming back in, and a year earlier, I guess, so we'll get a chance to see. I know they played Greenville this year and did a very good job against Greenville, so we'll see how we can fare against them.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Tipp City. They're 9-1 in the league, and coming off the CBC championship again. They have dominated that league. They have. You and I can remember watching a game together 2 years ago where they had Trotwood Madison on the ropes and almost had them beat, and probably what was maybe Trotwood was one of their better teams that they had, and certainly it was Tipp City's best team that they ever had. So we know how good this football team is and the tradition that they carry, and these kids are used to winning. We talked a little bit about their speed earlier. They've got speed in the backfield. They've got a lot of seniors. This team is loaded for bear, and they're expecting nothing but good things.
Yeah, they're a great confident football team. They've got great speed, as you said. They've got almost every offensive lineman back from last year. A lot of skilled people back. They got a new quarterback. That's about all. Everything else is pretty much intact. And when you when you go to a situation where you're week in, week out winning, it becomes ingrained in you, and you operate that way. And so what we have to do is we have to be able to overcome that. We have to be able to use some of the things that we do well, and we think that we've gone against some quality opponents, and I think that we need to plug that into our favor. They have that tradition. They have that that little confidence about themselves. So we're going to have to be able to offset that as best we can.
It reminds me, Coach, as I sit back and I've been trying to think the last couple of years what this game reminds me of in terms of size of school, the rivalry, the history that Piqua's had with them, going into their place. Somewhat similar to Urbana when we went last year. When we went to Urbana last year, they had a long winning streak of league games, and we had to go into their place, and it's a grass field. It's not a turf field. It's a smaller stadium. So there are some things that our kids are going to see that it's different than they've been used to playing in the GWalk, and those are all factors that hopefully the Indians can overcome.
I think so, and I think probably the biggest thing we're going to overcome, and we've already done it, is that's the fact that we're not going to listen to what other people are telling us about whether or not the preconceived ideas, which I won't even get involved with right now, about this matchup. handicap. We're the ones that are sitting there looking at the film. We're the ones that are going to have to play against it. And from every indication we have, this is a solid football team. As a matter of fact, a great football team that's got a good scheme on both sides of the ball. They got great speed. They're comparable to anybody we've seen, generally on our schedule. Now, the big difference is the fact that we see it more often on a weekly basis, but one game. That's all it is. It's not a best-of-3 series.
Right.
One game. So we've got to be ready for that one game, and we've got to be ready to take our best step forward.
Well, one thing that we feel very confident about is our schedule has prepared us for Friday night. From week 1 all the way through week 10, we have played high-quality teams at Division II, Division III levels, and we have done very well on the road. Coach, for actually our record's better on the road than we are at home this year. So we're not afraid to go into anywhere and play.
No. I think our players are well versed at it, and I think as a result, we continue to learn. I thought one of the themes we had for this past week on Monday after the Troy game was, in getting ready for Tipp City, is that you've got to continue to learn. And we thought that we learned a lot coaches-wise. We learned a lot personnel-wise after the Sydney game. We didn't react well to a couple things, and that's everybody included. So we've got to do a better job. At Troy last week, a couple of things of adversity came up, and we reacted a heck of a lot better than what we did at Sydney. So I think we're going to continue to keep that learning process going.
We are a good football team going at 6-4. The difference between this year, maybe in previous years, is we've always been talking about we're 1 or 2 plays away or 1 game away. This year the breaks go for us, and we're able to get over the hump. Mm-hmm. We're in the playoffs for the first time since 2007. We are in a position where we are playing teams that, we feel that we have a great chance to compete against and win. How does that feel as a coach, A, and B, how does that feel as a program that it's taken this long in terms of waiting? Is it a little bit more sweeter as you had to wait for that?
I think so. I think we worked at it, and I told our players also at the Monday meeting. I said, hey, we've overcome so much this year because there were so many times. Well, there was 2 games where we just didn't lose the game. We viciously, bitterly lost the game. And we were able to bounce back, a double overtime game. The other situation was, this past weekend, or 2 weeks ago. And so I said, we've overcome a lot. And the more you overcome that stuff, it makes you tougher. The old saying, that which does not kill you makes you stronger. And I think that's pretty evident, in this case. So I think that we're going to be a better football team because of it. I think in past years, we were able to, just not get over the hump for 1 game or, whatever reason. And somebody asked me just recently, they said, boy, it's great, we're back to being relevant. And that's a phrase I use quite a bit, we want to be relevant again. And I think that is true, but I also think that we've been, for the last 7 years that we've not been in the playoffs, we've been relevant here in Piqua. We've been relevant in our own minds because everybody who watches us play knows that week in, week out, we put a quality program, we put a quality team on the field, and we're always in there till the very end. Now we have an opportunity, like we have in those years from 2007 before, to be able to showcase it in front of a larger crowd.
Well, I know the people here in Piqua, the community, there's a buzz. When your football team does well, mm-hmm. there's a little bit more of a buzz in the community. There was a great crowd Friday night. I anticipate a great crowd to be in Tipp City. In fact, I was at Hare's today in Tipp City. I was meeting with their people about the game, and I heard a gentleman that say in the corner, hey, this will be the, he says, I haven't been to a game all year, but I'm going to this one because this one's going to be a dandy.
Well, that's good. Hopefully he'll be able to get out of Hare's and get there.
Coach, as we move into the game Friday night, what are some of the keys that you look to be against this Tipp City team?
Well, I think that we have to get used to their style, get used to the style of play. Every time that we play a team that might be a little different in style, we've got to get used to it. So I think that's number one. So it's very important for our defense to get acclimated to it. I don't know if we're going to be able to simulate that kind of speed, on the practice field. I know we see it on Friday nights, but we've got to still be able to do that. I think, too, our offense needs to be able to continue to play mistake-free. Last week we had 1 turnover, but unfortunately 2 weeks ago, they kind of did us in. So we've got to make sure we're playing mistake-free, but not so conservatively that we're just afraid of doing something wrong. We got to still be able to go out, take charge, and do the things we want to do and have the confidence that we can do them correctly and not have to sit back and say, well, let's be conservative, let's go ahead and not try something. So we're going to have to get out there and stick our neck out a little further like we normally do and get out there and play great offensive football, get used to them on defense, and then special team-wise, just get one play that gives us an advantage, just something. Whether or not it be against their great punt returns, they do some fantastic punt returns. They've returned 3 punts for touchdowns this year. Whether or not we can stop that, I think that would be great. Whether or not we can block a punt, whether or not we can get an onside kick, whatever the case may be, just do something a little bit extra on special teams.
Well, I know the Indians and the Indian Nation will be down at Tipp City Park on Friday night, 7:30 kickoff. Before we go to our halftime guest, Coach Josh Smith, been a big part of our program for about 10 years now. He's been a junior high coach and now been coaching the freshmen and has been an integral part as our junior high coordinator, or liaison, so to speak. Talk a little bit about Smitty and what he's meant to the football program here.
Smitty's big time. I mean, he's the glue around here. He's the calming factor a lot of times, and sometimes some turbulent atmospheres. And I think Smitty does a great job with our younger guys and being able to transition them into, we have something at the high school called Link Crew, and Smitty's which helps us transition from the junior high to high school. Smitty's kind of like our one-man Link Crew, that he's able to get those kids, because he's a junior high teacher, brings them over and and helps us get that through. He helps me tremendously on Friday nights. He keeps track of all the offensive formations and what they're doing and gives me a full report. First thing I do when I walk in at halftime is I listen to what Smitty says in terms of what they do. Then I go talk to the other defensive coaches, then talk to the team itself, because we got different roles. Everybody's got different roles, and he's one of the first people I talk to. So he's very thorough at what he does. Great example of working his way up the ladder. He started off as one of our junior high coaches, worked his way up. He's now the head freshman coach, and he probably spends as much time with anybody with the varsity. So not bad, for a guy that started off from Troy, Ohio, and then eventually worked his way up.
Yeah, I can tell you, Smitty brings a lot of smiles, a lot of people's faces. But his role, you talk about transitioning those kids from the junior high to the high school, because there isn't quite an acclimation.
Oh, yeah.
The expectation levels, the weight room, all the physicality pieces, and the mental piece.
Yeah.
And I'm sure for him, having his kids be a part of playoffs and having that chance to be in this atmosphere for them, I would imagine that gives them a good spirit of what's to come.
It does, and they came in. They were at our Monday meeting. We brought the freshmen in, and the freshmen had an opportunity. If they wanted to go to their second sport, their winter sport, they were more than welcome to. If they wanted to stay with us, they could stay with us. And then, all the coaches, the winter coaches, are fine with it. When you guys are done, come over. Everybody's very excited for us. The winter coaches, and so he brought his guys in, and they were all big-eyed when they came into the first meeting and everything. And he does a great job with them in the weight room. So it was just a good transition. It's pretty nice to have everybody out there now at the same time.
Well, Coach, I know Smitty will continue to be a big part of the Indian Nation, and I know he will be a big part of our game Friday night.
Definitely.
Coach, thank you for your time, and we certainly look forward to a good game again Friday night, and hopefully an Indian and will be an Indian win.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you very much. We are going to go to the second half of our show with Coach Josh Smith, better known as Squeaky Shoes. We'll come right back. Welcome to part 2 of the Bill Nees Coaches Show. With me is our guest, Coach Josh Smith, and better known as Smitty. Josh, welcome to the Bill Nees Coaches Show.
Thank you, Chip.
This is new for us on this show. We haven't done that where we've actually been to week 11.
Yeah.
And Coach and I were talking about that earlier. What's that like as a coach who's been a part of the program for many, many years? What's it like to know that, hey, you're getting to coach an extra week that you had to earn?
It's been a great experience. I tell you, the kids are really, really excited about it. It's a great opportunity for the younger guys to get some extra practice and get an opportunity to be with these older guys and really have the experiences. And it's a great opportunity, and as a coach, it's kind of been your ultimate goal. You know, every year you want to win the conference, you want to make sure you beat your rivals, and we're always lucky to get to end that season with the Troy game, and getting to coach in week 11 it's a great opportunity, so we're pretty excited.
Smitty, you've referred to the young guys, and just as a reference point, Smitty is our freshman JV coach, and any other coach that we put in there, position coach, he does a couple different things. Also our junior high liaison, as Coach Nees talks about, as you teach at the junior high.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your role here as coach. Let's talk about your role in the field as a freshman coach, and then talk a little bit about the junior high as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So, you know, I technically am the head freshman coach and get to spend some time with those guys, and they do a really nice job. And we try to do a lot of the same fundamental skills with varsity. You know, we try to get them involved as much as we can, and they really get to be a part of the whole experience too. And it's been a really positive thing. And every year our freshman team's really had a pretty consistently good season, and we get a good amount of kids participating, and they really, I think most of them look back pretty positively about the experience. And then at the junior high level, I just kind of help out with the junior high coaches, make sure they have everything they need, try to make sure I take care of the equipment, any game day type stuff, and to make sure they have all the success. And if anything comes up during the school day, I try to help out and make sure I communicate that, and we get that taken care of too.
You know, the role of the freshman position oftentimes is overlooked, but it's so important because you're really building those young men coming from junior high and transitioning them into the high school in terms of expectations in the weight room, the expectations in practice, the expectations of what Coach Nees expects, because this is all new to them. And obviously we talk about numbers and keeping those numbers and keeping them encouraged to come back so they can become a vital role in the program.
And it's been really nice over the years, you know, because I've been in this position as a freshman coach long enough that I've seen kids graduate. I've seen kids go to college and be successful, not only playing football, but just being successful, having a good career after high school. So it's been a really neat experience to see kids grow up over the course of the program, and you get to be really proud of the seniors, and knowing that you had them one year as a freshman, remembering back to some of those games and some of their experiences. So it's really been a pretty neat position. I've really grown to enjoy it over the years.
Smitty, talk a little about your background. How long have you been at Pickle? How did you get here? And how we got to this point in your career.
Sounds good, thanks. So hard to believe this is actually my 10th year teaching now. I've taught at the junior high school. I taught 8 years of special education. I was an intervention specialist, and that was a really good experience. And this is actually my 2nd year teaching American history. So I've done 2nd year of social studies now, and that's been really good. I've coached. This is my 10th season now coaching. I served kind of in a variety of positions. Served as a junior high coach, as assistant coach, and as a head coach. And I've worked on the freshman staff, and I've just kind of held a variety of different positions over the years. So it's been a very good situation.
How long have you been the freshman coach?
I think I've been the freshman coach. I believe this is my sixth season now. I think I served 4 at the junior high, and then 6 years up here.
So as a varsity coach, or being on the varsity staff, this is your first time on the varsity staff in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it really means a lot, not only for the kids and for their perspective, but just also as a coach to have this opportunity. You know, it seems like over the years we do such a nice job of hosting playoff games, and every year, you know, you get very excited and you get to be a part of that. But it's just not the same, and to finally be able to have this opportunity, you know, and to be with the group of coaches we have here and experience what they do, it's a great learning opportunity for myself.
Well, I'll ditto your comment. I mean, being the fact that you know, we host multiple games in our area for the state playoffs, even state semifinal games, and then have our opportunity. It just seems like it's a good thing. It's not only good for the schools, but it's good for our community.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've always been really fortunate. And it's one thing we've never taken for granted as coaches, having a community that supports us so well. You know, and you get attached to families, and you get to know a lot of those families over time, and having the community support has been something, and it's just a great thing to bring that pride to the community, not only for our schools themselves, but just for the kids overall, and it's a great thing for our town.
You talk about families, and shouldn't be a secret that our athletic trainer and you are husband and wife, and if you come to the games, particularly junior high games, you're going to see the little Smith running around, little Colin. What's that like to be able to have him around on game nights and kind of be intermingled with your family, kind of making it a family ordeal?
It's great, and you're exactly right. This is a big part of our life. It really is. My wife works very, very hard, is very dedicated, and really takes a real passion for what she does, and she really cares and does a really nice job. And sometimes our son, it's like having another one around here. He just kind of runs around, and the coaches do a great job with him. And it's really special being able to have him over here and having the support. And the kids, some of these older seniors and stuff, have known him so well. He thinks they're really cool when they come around. And we've been really lucky that it's a big part of our life. It really is. Pickwa's been a really good community for us. So we've been really fortunate.
We're glad to have you here, and we're glad certainly all the things that you do for Pickwa. Really want to wrap up with just 2 questions, and they really kind of move to focus again on Friday night. First of all, talk about Coach Nees. What has he meant to you individually, and then what has he meant for our program? Obviously, he's the winningest coach in the history of the program. That speaks for itself. But talk a little bit about what he means to you and how you see him as in this program.
He's been an excellent role model. Just as a young coach myself, when I started out, he always pushes you to become better. The football is an ever-changing game, and he'll be the first one to tell you that what you learned one day, it might change the next day, and you've got to constantly keep up with new ideas and new trends, and you can just never be passive. You have to always be learning. You have to always be working, and his work ethic is second to none, and it's really inspiring to see, and it pushes you to another level when you see a coach in here doing what he does. You want to make sure you support that, and you want to make sure that you do your part, that you don't let anybody down, and you don't want to let the kids down. And so he really motivates you to be the best coach that you can be and to be a very good example for the young men.
Tipp City, Friday night, 7:30. I happened to be today in a restaurant at Tipp as I was doing our meeting, and there was a group of older Tipp fans, and they didn't know who I was. They were just talking about the game, and one gentleman, there was 2 comments made. Excuse me. The first was, this is just a prelim to what's to come in the G-Walk.
Sure.
And the second guy said, I haven't been to a game all year, but I'm going Friday night. I think that speaks to what this game means to a lot of people, your older generation. But what does it mean for Pickwa, not just to be in the playoffs, but have the opportunity to play, a future league foe, but a team that Pickwa's had a history with for many, many years.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those real opportunities. Geographically, we're not that far away, so I think that's a really big thing. We're common-sized schools, so you really look at that now, and it's just it's over time it's become more of a rivalry. I've played them a few years at the younger levels, so I know a couple of those kids have played at younger levels, freshman games against Tipp City, and so I know a lot of them really look forward to the challenge, and I think it's going to be a really good thing for both communities, because not only are we in the playoffs, but there's a lot of similarities there, I really feel like, and I think the kids are really excited to be ready to play.
Well, Smitty, we're looking forward to that, but more importantly, thank you.
Thank you.
For all you do, and squeaky shoes or not, you're still a good one.
I appreciate it.
Just a reminder, Week 11, Friday night at Tipp City, it will be the Pickwa Indians in first-round playoff, taking on the Tipp City Red Devils. You can get your pre-sale tickets at 2 places. You can get them at Pickwa High School all the way through Friday till about 5 o'clock. And you can also get them at Thomas Jewelers downtown till about 5 o'clock. Tickets are $8 for pre-sale. They will be $9 at the gate. We encourage you to get your tickets at the high school or at Thomas, as Pickwa High School will get a portion of those proceeds back. So we really do hope that you can make sure that you come, and what we think is going to be an epic game between the Tipp City Red Devils, the Pickwa Indians, in round 1 of the Division III Region 10 playoffs. We look forward to it. Thank you for joining us, and we will look forward to seeing you next week here on the Bill Nees Coaches Show.